Hi, this is Dorothy with Dot Scrapbooking, and I am going to make some cards. So I'm going to make a stamp of the month with the little girl in the bouquet. I'm going to make a seahorse card, a kind of an underwater card, and I'm going to make a sunflower card. So I'm just going to do several different cards with different techniques on them. And so this is the one I'm going to do right now. And it's this wonderful sea stamp with all these great, look at those gorgeous thin cuts. I mean, the thin cuts have just made life so easy. Good grief. And this has got a coral thin cut, a seahorse, a sea turtle, like a butterfly fish and a starfish and all these wonderful things. So I like to make, when I'm doing one thin cut, I figure I might as well do a whole bunch of them so that, when I want to use them again, they're right there ready to go. So it just makes life a little bit easier and a little bit faster. And I'm going to use watercolors, typical watercolors for this card because it's, like I said, it's going to be an undersea card. So there's all the stamps, which I'm going to need. And I'm just going to, it's kind of a big seahorse, so I'm just trying to figure out, what the layout should be. So I kind of decided for a vertical layout. And I'm going to use my water brush, which is just so simple to use. And I'm using the bigger one. I haven't used the bigger one before, so I was just playing with it. So this is a wider one because I'm just going to make a sea bottom. A whole sea thing. So I am going to use the wide one just to save time. And I'm going to kind of use different colors of blue and kind of use the brush up to kind of use out the color and make it kind of fade towards the top. So it's darker blue at the bottom and lighter blue towards the top. And so I'm kind of going over, I'm using my craft mat, which just handles a world of mess. But you want to be careful. You want to wash it off every so often because the back of your card gets full of stuff this way, which mine did. And then I'll show you how what I had to do to fix it. So I'm using the different blues there. There's like 3 different blues that I'm using along with the just kind of using the watercolor to fade it out. So I decided to make the bottom a little bit darker. And you don't want it to be all smooth and perfect because it's the ocean. And, the ocean it's going to have some waving in it and movement of water. And so I don't feel like it has to be a perfectly even background. So I keep my little chamois handy, and I keep it moist in a little craft box, so it's ready to go whenever I make a mess, which apparently is often. So I'm going to stamp the backgrounds, the die cuts now with the stamp. And then, like I said, the seahorse is kind of big. So I'm using my block on a diagonal to fit them on there, and I'm using my intense black, that's my favorite black to use, so that I can watercolor it. And I'm just kind of testing it out. I did season it on my arm to get off the excess oils and stuff from the stamp and the extra little pieces. But I'm going to go ahead and see how it, when I get a good clean stamp, then I'm going to go with it. I mean, there's a lot of detail to this stamp, so that's why I'm kind of using extra measures with the seasoning. So then you just want to line it up and give it a good press. Especially you want to use the backside of the little sponge that comes with each stamp set so that you get a really good impression. And I'm cleaning up as I go along here. Sort of like the kitchen and the dishes, right? Sometimes I do it. Most times I do it, sometimes I don't. So here comes the coral, which I think is pretty. And I wanted to use the coral because, you know, a lot of times seahorses grab onto, you know, a little reed or some, you know, seagrass or whatever they can grab onto with their little tail. So I am going to use the coral for that purpose. And I didn't get a perfectly good stamp on that for some reason. But it's like I didn't even see it. So it'll be fine after I do some watercoloring. And I'm going to add my little starfish here. He's so cute. And much easier to stamp than the coral and the seahorse. So there's all sorts of other things I could use, but the card is small and the stamps are big. So the fewer the better, I think. And I'm just going to set that aside and put my ink away so I don't mess things up. So this is one of our new shimmer brushes. It's toffee. And, you know, I'm thinking toffee is like perfect for the seahorse. It's a perfect color for it. And so I'm just kind of squeezing. You take the yellow ring off, you throw it away. And if you squeeze a little bit down on your work pad, then you can kind of pick up some color from the little blob. That way you're not squeezing out a big blob onto your stamp or your die cut. And there's also a pretty, our mint green shimmer brush. You know, these shimmer brushes are just gorgeous. And just so you know, we're coming to the point that our new core catalog is going to be coming out somewhat soon, and we have even more shimmer brushes. So these are coming in all of the colors that match our inks, and I have all of them, and I will get all the new ones too. So I just decided to add, seahorses can be all different colors actually, surprisingly. So I'm just kind of adding different colors to the seahorse. So, I mean, a lot of times the pretty common color is the brown, but I'm adding a coral, I think it's a smoothie color, and the mint, and give him kind of a green eyeball. And I might add a little bit more toffee. Change the color to a toffee eyeball. And I'm just going to kind of add some toffee in with, excuse me, in with the coral color to try to make the colors look like they're smushing together so they're, you know, a little bit more natural. But I did want to add some color to my, I was trying out a gem on his eyeball. We'll see what we do at the end. Let's see. I don't know. I keep on shaking the camera. Sorry about that. So I'm going to color the coral in the coral color. Appropriate, right? So I'm just going to, you know, go over the stems of the coral in there. So I'm not coloring the entire piece, but just the stems. So, a little tedious, but you know what? Coloring with the shimmer brushes is so easy. It flows nicely. The ink flows nicely, and the shimmer is just wonderful. I mean, you have to have shimmer on your stuff, and it just adds a little bit of glitz with not, you know, without being overpowering. And it's just beautiful. So I'm just kind of adding the coral there, and I'll probably end up, what am I doing here? Toffee. A toffee not a seahorse, starfish. And I'm adding a little bit more color. So I'm kind of mixing the colors just to kind of brighten them up and, you know, try to make them look, yeah, a tad more natural, because, you know, the little sea critters aren't just one solid color usually. There's usually variations of colors. So I let my card dry because it was pretty wet from the from the watercolor, and it got a little curly. So when you do that, what you might want to do is put a book or something on top of it so that it stays flatter. And I'm just trying to, well, I really am shaking the camera a lot. It's usually not that bad. See, I can't decide between the mint julep or the gold or the clear. Oh my gosh, it's a decision. So awful for me. So I'm going with the gold. How about that? So I am going to cover up the fact that there isn't ink on that coral by putting the seahorse tail over it. And, you know, I just added a little gem to the center of the seahorse just to give him a little glitz too. And I'm using my big foam dots to raise the seahorse up and the coral. And, you know, you don't want it to look flat. You always want your stuff, whether it's cards or your scrapbook pages, you want them to have some dimension to add interest to your layout, whether, you know, it's big or small. So, you know, I've always, you know, I was a horse girl when I was very young. So I read every horse book that came around. And seahorses were included in my love just because they were a horse and they were such a cute critter. And the father is the one that actually births the babies. I mean, it's just so cool. Such a cool little guy. I think he can spew out 1,000 or 1,500 babies after the female lays her eggs in his pouch. So there's my seahorse, and my boo-boo on my coral is all gone. And so I think what I'm going to do is stamp this little, I think it says grateful for you. I can't really read it. I forget what I wrote, which stamp I used, but it didn't come out very good. So I'll have to redo that. And just like I covered up one boo-boo, I'll cover up another boo-boo. This just shows you that, number one, I make a lot of boo-boos, and number two, that if something gets messed up, oh, it says deeply grateful for you. Perfect, right? You can always fix it. There's always a fix some way. So here's my fix. I went and found a little pre-cut shape because I have boxes of pre-cut shapes for times like this. Because, I mean, if you're going to make one circle on the CRICUT, you might as well make 50. Because why not? So that's sort of my thinking. That's why I have shapes in boxes all around. And I'm going to take my water brush and just have some of the leftover color on the brush and kind of go over the, you know, so it doesn't stick out in bright white. So you see, had to stamp it twice to get it right. So that was my third stamping. So there we go. That's basically the card. So now I'm coming down to, I don't really like the way the edges look. So am I going to use a shimmer trim? Or I actually had cut, now this is called, this is our holographic paper. And this one's called Dreamy. And so I had a frame, and I cut a frame with it for another. I was going to use it for another card. And it didn't look good on that card. But so I kind of let it hang around on my craft table for a while. And lo and behold, it's going to be the frame for this one. So I'm using the clear liquid tombow, which both the clear and the white tombow, really nice glues. Really, really nice glues. I really like both of them. Usually you see me using the green container, that's the white. And so see how beautifully that holographic paper goes with the blues? It's just, and it, it's holographic, so it kind of changes color. So you see all the, now I've got like a lot of ink on the back, and I've got a lot of ink on the inside. So now maybe there's a way you could probably use a little bit of washi tape on the edges so that they wouldn't have the overflow of watercolor. You could do that, or then you could just cover it up like I do. So I'm going to put my little, let's see, what am I doing first here? See how there's ink that was just kind of the run over from doing the front page. So I'm going to put my sentiment on the inside. Blessed to have you for a friend. And then I'm going to frame out the 2 inside pages to just kind of cover that up. Now, what am I going to do about the backside? Because the backside's got ink or watercolor on it too. So I'm going to put my little starfish on the back. That's my little signature, which changes whichever stamp set I'm using. And I decided I'm just going to take the brush and go ahead and do it in a lighter shade of the blue, and just kind of go over it so that the the little blobs don't stick out quite so much. So, and like I said, well, when you're talking about the sea isn't, just a flat shade. It's varying shades, and the light hits it, and it's, different, so it has different, looks to it. I could have done it sideways, but I didn't. I did it up and down, just for a little difference. So now it's going to sit like that so it can dry out a little bit. There we go. So I come back and it's dried, and I've got a couple of frames that I cut using that same, and we still have this frame, and we're going to have the frame through our next catalog for a year. So these are really good frames to get. So you can frame out your card. You can make frames for your pictures to go on your scrapbook pages. So, this frame is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So you can totally use it for a picture frame on a scrapbook page. So these are really handy, and they're kind of stacked. So there are, I think, at least three different sizes that come with the one die cut set. So, and then you also get all the insides of the die cut. So you get the frame, and then you get the inside of it for a photo mat. So there's my card, and it's got some depth. It's got shiny eyeballs on it. It's got holographic paper. It's a undersea thing with a little starfish on the back, and so it just says, I'm deeply grateful for you. And he's a cute little starfish. He's real pretty. And so there he is, and there's the wonderful stamp set and thin cut with lots and lots of thin cuts. So it's a really good deal. So, From the Deep Blue is the name of it. Thanks for watching. Bye now.